Hello, I'm Angela Schepmann. I'm the Executive Director of the Ellsworth Area Chamber of Commerce. And with me today is Anthony Hopkins. Hi, Anthony.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And he is the agent here at State Farm Insurance in Ellsworth. And we are at 231 North Douglas at this beautiful new location. And I first wanted to start out by asking you about your journey becoming the new State Farm agent in this area.
Sure. It's quite the process. Almost a year ago to the day now, I had a recruiter reach out to me and ask if I'd be interested in taking over an insurance office. And at the time I wasn't looking for a job, but after we talked about it for a while, I decided it was something to look into. It's a really long process, but the short story is you kind of go through some personality tests, aptitude tests, and then you have to work up a business proposal and submit it and give a presentation. And if they like that, they allow you to interview. In the meantime, you have to have your licenses to be able to interview. So for me, it was a whirlwind of doing a business proposal, getting my licenses, and then being ready for an interview. And so I interviewed for the job in December, and then they called that night and offered it to me. And after consulting with my wife, we decided it was the right opportunity to justify making a move. So then after you accept the job, you go into a 5.5-month training program. My training hub was in Dallas, so I was in Dallas about 6 weeks. Traveled about every 2 or 3 weeks down there. And in the meantime, we were at home doing online courses. You do spend 3 weeks in another agent's office just to see what it's like and get some tips and ideas and know what you're getting into before you open your doors. And then they give you about 3 weeks to get your office ready, finish everything up, and then you go live. So it was a long process, but it was very much worth it. So.
Well, good. Well, that was quite the journey for you, and very extensive training, and I'm just so happy that everything turned out the way it did. Our community and surrounding area are so blessed to have you. So thank you for doing all that to provide this valuable service to our area. I know that you cover a wide range of insurance policies and provide a lot of different types of coverage. I was hoping we could first touch on auto insurance. Sure. Living out in this area, most of us have to have vehicles to get around. So what all does State Farm have in that area? Well,
you know, that's what State Farm's probably thought of first when you think of State Farm as auto coverage. That was what State Farm started with. We insure just about anything with wheels, you know, from cars to trucks, commercial vehicles, RVs, boats, motorhomes, trailers, travel trailers. But yeah, our coverage is, obviously I'm biased, but I think we have the most extensive coverage in the industry, and we're very price competitive. You know, you can have the state minimum coverages, or you can insure as high as you want. And you know, typically you look at your liabilities is the biggest thing to look at. You know, if you were to get in an accident and it was your fault, you know, in the litigious world that we live in now, everybody wants to sue. So having your liability limits match your assets is a very important part of auto insurance. But you know, we do also offer a lot of cool endorsements. You know, roadside service, renters coverage. We have a coverage for if you travel a lot and rent vehicles. A lot of people don't know if you wreck their vehicle, like Hertz or whoever can sue you for lost revenue on that vehicle while it's getting fixed. So we offer coverages like that. But, yeah, so there's a lot of different coverages you can add if you want to. It just kind of depends on your lifestyle and the liabilities you want to protect.
Mm-hmm. And that is a lot of things that a lot of us wouldn't know about, like what you just said with the Hertz and different examples like that. So it's probably worth someone's time just to come in and sit down and talk to you and see what type of coverage they really need to fully protect themselves with their auto insurance.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you meet a customer for the first time. I always like to ask them, how did you come to your current coverages? And a lot of times they just say, well, that's what my parents always had. So that's when we start asking questions about, you know, do you travel? You know, do you want roadside coverage? Do you, you know, if you have a flat tire, is there typically someone able to help you, or would you want someone to come out? So yeah, it's having a conversation about auto insurance. You know, that's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it can certainly save you a headache having the right coverages.
Right, exactly. And so, speaking of families, that makes me think of our homes. And we all want to protect our homes and our properties. What type of insurance do you have for that?
Again, we cover just about anything, but you know, the most common is going to be your home. We typically just call it fire insurance, but we cover a lot more than just fire. So you know, we would cover, you know, the State Farm policy is what they call an all peril policy. So we cover pretty much anything except for the stuff that would be in the exclusions, which is in your policy and it's explained when you would become a policy holder. There's some companies that it's a named peril, so if it's not on that named list, they don't cover it.
Oh, okay.
So that's something a lot of people don't know about homeowners insurance that I spend a lot of time explaining. And you know, typically the named peril coverage is a cheaper policy because the company doesn't have the exposure to loss. That's why I think State Farm's fire coverage is some of the best in the industry. You know, we cover more than just home. Fire policies are also included with boat and RVs. You know, if you have a farm, we can cover any of your outbuildings, you know, machine sheds, your silos, you know, your pivots, if you have pivots on your farm. And then, you know, if you just have if you have an extra shed like on your home or a garage, we can add coverage for that too. So
okay.
There's not much we don't cover
All right.
on this stuff.
That's fantastic. And then what about those who rent their homes?
We do offer renter's policy, and that's probably one of the most surprising things to me is that a lot of people think that if they're renting a house from a landlord, that if they have a fire that their contents would be covered, and it's not. So the renter's policy is probably one of the most cost-effective policies you can get. You know, a typical renter's policy is probably going to be about $20–25 a month, and you know that can cover any contents that you have in the house. You know, all the way down from your clothes, your shoes, your pots and pans, dishes, anything, your TVs, couches, furniture. You know, for the price of renter's insurance, it's almost silly not to have it. But a lot of people think that if you know there's a tornado and their apartment gets blown away, that they're going to be covered, and it's not. So.
And that's very inexpensive to have that type of security.
Yep.
When you think about all the things that we use every day and don't realize how much it could add up to, and for it to all of a sudden just be gone would be devastating. So that's really important to have that renter's insurance. Does that work for commercial as well?
For commercial policies are kind of a different animal. If you're typically you would have what they call a business owner's policy, and those policies can be, you know, like me, I own my building, so my policy covers my building and a business liability insurance. But if you're renting a building, you can get like a policy that is specifically for someone that rents. So you would, basically the difference is you don't have coverage on the building, but you still have the same liability coverage. You know, if someone were to trip and fall and it's your fault in your building, you can still have that liability coverage. You just don't have the burden of paying for the building coverage.
Sure, and that's really important for employers to have to protect their business.
We do also offer work comp insurance as well. So that's, you know, we're a pretty good one-stop shop for business owners. You know, we can write fleet policies, we can cover your business, we can cover your liability. You can have a commercial liability umbrella policy that would cover you for, you know, a serious accident up to, I think, $10 million. So.
Okay, and then so renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance would cover everything in your home should something happen like a fire, but people can also take out policies for, let's say, like jewelry, or you took one out for your golf clubs recently. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So if you have a collection of, you know, coins or jewelry, furs, you know, pretty much anything, guns, you can get what they call a personal articles policy, and they're pretty reasonably priced. And that policy covers you anywhere in the world. So, you know, if you go to Europe and you lose your diamond ring while you're snorkeling somewhere, we're gonna cover that. Mm-hmm. So, and it's, again, it's similar to renter's insurance. It's a very inexpensive coverage. I think I pay about $60 for my coverage on my golf clubs.
And that's annually? That's
annually, yeah.
Okay, wow, that is really reasonable and good protection. I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories about women losing their wedding rings, and so how nice to have that security, knowing worst case scenario, if it did happen, like when you're on vacation, that would be covered.
Right.
So, to my understanding, State Farm has a bank, and I don't think a lot of people know about this. Could you tell me more about that?
Sure. About 15 years ago, State Farm got into the banking business, and so we offer, you know, auto loans, refinance loans, mortgages. We can do just a personal loan if you have something you can put up for collateral. We also offer credit cards. We have 4 different credit cards, and, you know, it can be anything from a business card to a card that's really good for college students trying to build their credit. Then we have checking accounts. Probably the State Farm Bank is something that people just don't know that we do, and really our rates are really good. We've had a few auto refis where we saved people, you know, I think we saved one gal like 9%.
Oh, wow.
On her auto insurance, and I actually recently just redid mine and saved 1.5%. Then we also do offer CDs. We have a special rate CD right now that's paying 1.5%. There's not a CD anywhere else that I've seen that pays anywhere close to that. So yeah, there's the banking part's kind of a little known arm of our business, but it's constantly growing. And the nice thing is it's backed by the State Farm brand, and, you know, we're a very well-established, financially secure entity. So.
Very neat. Well, that's really cool. So people can come and get their insurance and do their banking all at the same place. How convenient. Yep. And something else that's really important to have, and it's not something that we want to think about, but really we want to make sure that our loved ones are protected when we're gone. What kind of life insurance opportunities do you have here?
Yeah, we have about every kind of life insurance policy that you might see with any other company, but the most common ones you'll hear about is a term policy or a whole life. We do offer universal life. We have small policies for just like a death to help cover final expenses. They call it a final expense policy. You know, the most common ones, you know, the life and the whole life. We're actually the second largest policy issuer in the United States, and we were number 1 until recently. A couple of companies combined, but our financial backing is the best in the industry. So a lot of people sell life insurance, but you always want to check and see what the company's financial backing is, because it's not common, but it does happen where a company goes under and all that money you've put into your life insurance policy is gone. One thing I always like to tell people is life insurance will never be cheaper than it is today. The older you get, the more expensive it gets, especially at, you know, certain age increments. And a lot of people don't think about how much money they should have on a policy. You have to consider, if you're married, your lost income and for the years, especially if children like me, I have 2 small children. If something were to happen to me, I would want my wife to have the same income that I did, at least until my children were out of high school. So, you want to look at your gross annual income, multiply that by the number of years that you would want to be covered, plus any debts that you have. The number can rise pretty quick, and a lot of people don't realize how much they really should have for life insurance. But, even a small policy is better than none. But, that's something we like to do, is we can take a schedule of your assets and liabilities and come to a number that would properly cover someone for their life insurance.
Okay, well that's nice to have that extra help too to figure it out, and because each situation is different, and so that's neat that can be tailored to everybody's individual situations. And I was looking around on your website at ellsworthinsurance.net, and I saw there was a type of coverage called identity restoration insurance. What is that?
Yeah, that's kind of a newer product for us, and everybody's probably heard of some of the bigger names that are out there. That basically what they do is they monitor your credit. One of the most common, most growing issues that we have is identity theft, and it's with as much online dealings that we're doing, everybody or most of us do, your bank account information and your social security number is out there, and people sell it, and they use it to run up credit, debt on your identity, and it's really hard to get that cleaned up once it happens. So what we do is we offer a service that watches your credit and makes sure that any unauthorized accounts that are open are caught, and then if money gets charged under you, we will reimburse that and help you get through that process of getting all that cleaned up. And ours, the cost for ours is about the cost of what most other companies charge monthly. So one annual payment with us would be about the cost of 1 month with some of these other companies. So it's a new product for us. I'm still learning a little bit more about it, but it's a great product, and for the cost, it's cheap insurance against a very common problem that we're having these days.
Yeah, and what nice security to have to know you can just go on about your day, and that you guys are monitoring and making sure that nothing unusual is going on, and to have that help afterwards too, because that can really be a lot to clean up when somebody is violated like that.
Yeah, I personally have a family member that went through it, and it took 5 years to get it cleaned up. So it's
oh wow,
it's something good to have for
sure. Yes, most definitely. And so I wanted to ask about long-term care. This is something that any of us could need and probably will need at some point in our lives. Is there coverage for that?
Yeah, we offer a short-term and a long-term care policy. Again, it's a lot of people don't think about the cost of whether you get into an accident and you're put into a long-term care facility, or even when you get older and you just can't stay at home anymore. The cost of that's constantly rising. I think average now it's $3,600 or $3,800 a month.
Oh wow!
So if you have a policy with us, what we can do is you can determine how much per day you would want your policy to cover, and it can help keep the nest egg that you've built up. What happens a lot of times is people think, oh, if I get injured or get to the point where I can't take care of myself, Medicaid will just cover it. Well, Medicaid's going to make you deplete all of your assets before they step in. So, everything in your savings, the equity in your house, this can help protect that. And you know, the rates, the older that you get, obviously the premiums increase because your likelihood of needing it goes up. But you know, you can help control the cost of it by determining what they call an elimination period. You can do anything from 30 days to, I believe, 6 months. That's where you would be responsible for that first, you know, 30 days of the time that you spend in a long-term care facility, facility, and then we would step in after that. But the longer that the elimination period is, the less your premium is. So it just kind of depends on your tolerance for paying for that. But it's a great product. It's one that a lot of people don't think about, and it's, you know, but it's a great policy again to help protect, you know, your nest egg. And actually, you know, and it's not just for older people, it's for younger people. You know, it's like 1 in 4 people will be disabled before age 30. And this can help minimize those medical bills that oftentimes lead to bankruptcy.
Right, yeah, because you just never know, an accident could happen, and I mean, just in a blink of an eye, your whole life could change. Yep. So that would be great security to have that protection just in case. And so we all have what we've worked for. We try to protect it all of our lives. We want to leave it to our loved ones. So we want to make sure that we have liability coverage as well. What does State Farm have in that area? We offer a personal liability umbrella policy, and if you're a business, we can offer you a commercial liability umbrella policy. And just to explain that real quick, is it's kind of like it sounds, it's an umbrella, and that would cover your autos and at home, and it follows you wherever you go. So a story I'd like to tell that I heard during training was there was a college professor that was on his way to go teach class that day, and it was rainy, and he came to a stoplight, and after he made a stop, he turned right. Well, there was someone in the walkway, and he hit him, and he got sued for $1 million. Oh. Luckily, he had a $1 million personal liability umbrella policy. Oh, wow. And that paid for it. You know, otherwise he would have had to deplete everything he'd ever worked for, everything he ever saved. And you know, it's so easy for a simple, honest mistake to turn into $1 million lawsuit. So this will oversee you in your car, and it will oversee you at home. So even if, you know, someone were to get injured at your home, this would help cover that. And you know, I particularly like to recommend it to people that have, you know, children, especially if they have them over to play a lot, and especially if they have a trampoline or a pool. It's a great product, and it's actually very reasonably priced. I have one as well, and you know, you're talking, you know, obviously it depends on how much coverage you want, but you know, you can be as low as, you know, $10 to $25 a month for $1 million of additional coverage. You know, and I always tell people, if you were to get sued, how much do you think they're going to ask for? And people, oh, $1 million. Well, that's probably what they're going to sue for. And State Farm can help cover them so that they don't have to sell all their assets to, you know, pay a judgment. Right, right. And accidents happen every day,
they
so
do.
You just never know. So we've talked a lot about a lot of valuable services that State Farm has to offer. And to my understanding, people, you don't have to live in Ellsworth to reach out to you and to have your services. You can cover anyone in Kansas, is that correct?
Yep, I'm licensed in the state of Kansas, so from, you know, Elkhart to Kansas City, you know, we can cover them. You know, our bread and butter, or I would say our local markets, you know, the Ellsworth County, Lincoln County area, but you know, we have policies all over the state of Kansas. So.
Okay, and how would someone get in contact with you?
You know, you can call us 785-472-4426, or you can go to ellsworthinsurance.net, or you can find us on Facebook. We like to have fun on our Facebook page, so I like to think it's a good follow. We have giveaways every once in a while, and Did You Knows, and a lot of good information about policies that people can read real quick. Or you can drop in on us at our new location downtown Ellsworth, 231 North Douglas in Ellsworth.
And it's an absolutely beautiful location. I love what you've done with the place. It looks wonderful. And I want to thank you again so much for providing this valuable service in our community, for putting your roots down here, and for taking the time to visit with us today.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. We appreciate the opportunity to chat with you.
All right, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.